We have Keurig beer out there. We don't have a karaoke bar, but imagine them playing in the other room. We tried to make this as quirky-like as possible, including the low lights and the candles on the tables. But we all have our own memories. My name's Chris Woodyard. I'm a reporter for USA Today. I'm president of the Los Angeles Press Club, and I'm proud to say I was a Herald reporter. And we're so thrilled that so many of you are here tonight, and so many of you that came so far to be here. Frank Lawley, of course, who stopped off on the way to Australia to be here. We have several people, Pam Moreland and some others that came from San Francisco. It's just wonderful to have you here. Grayson came all the way from Malibu.
Earl came from Hong Kong.
So before Alex introduces our panel, I want to see, first of all, who has the best Herald tchotchkes tonight. Anthea Raymond, come up here a second. Anthea Raymond is with National Public Radio. She's a former press club president. I'm the current press club president. She's the marketing manager for the Herald.
I was.
And she's got the whole uniform here.
And she has pits.
Anyone else stand up who's got great Herald tchotchkes? Some of the photogs. Dean Musgrove, got the bib. I don't see a single Herald t-shirt. Yes?
Jim's license plate frame.
Oh, all right. Jim's license plate frame counts for something. I want to know, we've got, how many Herald people have won a Pulitzer Prize? Where's Joe? Here's Joe Morgenstern. And how many Herald people have almost won a Pulitzer Prize? Where's Merle Wolin? There's one right there. There's one. Where's yours? Tell us about it.
Finalists for criticism.
Gosh, is that who I think it is?
Peter
Rainer. And he totally deserved it. We all remember how fabulous he was, particularly on his Rambo reviews. If you remember those. Still doing Rambo.
Pete, you're really good on your Cannonball Run review.
Oh, if you don't have seats, we got space up front here. We got a few extra seats, so come on down. The award for the best naming of a mass murderer, Jim Yeager, where are you? Oh, was it Chuck Hobbs? I say Yeager. The naming of the Night Stalker. I was like present, but we have a dispute on where it was named, so.
I was there.
All right, we have a witness. I want to thank you so much for coming out tonight. We have Herald people, and we have, just guests and people that love the newspaper business. Beth Barrett of the Daily News, who was our arch enemy on the RTD project. We were pounding away at each other. She's here tonight with Ron Kay. He's your best reporter. The most unchanged Herald person, Barbara Anderson. Where are you? She looks like she walked right out in 1988, not a crease on her face. All right, before we proceed, I want Anthony to tell you for a moment, we're at the Press Club people. Here's a pitch for the Press Club.
And I'm a former marketing manager, so this is my job. That is to tell you, you obviously care about local news, you care about local newspapers, and if you care about staying connected to local news, the LA Press Club is a great place to do that. Tonight we're offering folks who are here tonight to join the club at just $40. Our normal rate is $75. So think about it. Think about supporting us and just, coming to a couple of really cool events like this a year for free. It's a good deal. Thank you. And you can, we're going to pass a list around to see if you might be interested. There you go.
And with that, I want to introduce Alex Ben Block. We have a couple other events coming up, but I'll tell you after the program. Alex Ben Block has been tireless in organizing this reunion. We all know, because we're getting the 30 emails every day from him. Including putting together the great pictures you saw earlier here today and everything else. So with that, let me introduce Alex Ben Block, entertainment writer from the Herald from 1979 to 1984.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks to all of you for being here. What a treat. Somebody asked me why I did this, why I got this thing going, and I had a lot of help. I certainly didn't do it alone, but I did start it, and I did it as an excuse to see all of you, to spend time with all these people I love who I never get to see. So thank you all for being here, and I do appreciate it. It means a great deal to me, and I think it's going to be fun for everybody tonight. And we're going to try to make this somewhat interactive. Once again, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 10 seats here. If any of you want to take a moment and come in, because we're going to be up for an hour otherwise. Okay, fine. Let me talk just a second about the Herald Examiner before I introduce this fabulous panel and tell you a little more about this evening. You know, I worked at the Herald when I went there in 1979. Rip Renz, I think it was, came in, or somebody with a thing about a bunch of awards we won. We like took the LA Press Club's awards by storm that year when Jim was the editor and Marianne was the managing editor, and there was a real feeling that we could save the paper, we could save Los Angeles, we were doing innovative stuff. When I look back at the innovation, for instance, of Page 2, which was one of the original snarky gossip columns, and at the time everybody said, oh my God, this is Hollywood, how can you write this terrible stuff about people? And now everybody does it. It was the role model for Page 6, it's the role model for The Daily Show. In many ways, I think what we did at the Herald is the role model for the internet, even if we didn't know it. Take a look at how the internet is written with the big headlines, the flashy style. That was the Herald style. They were there long before the internet, and it was great training for a lot of people. And many of the journalists there, as we know, have gone on to major media, radio, television, and print. The LA Times and Daily News both have been enriched by people who have the Herald experience. So coming together is not just a great social occasion. I think it also gives us a chance to remember and mark and appreciate the contributions that the Herald made. Now I'm going to introduce the panel, but then before we start, I'm going to ask Ron Kay to join me here for a second for a very special little tribute. If you don't know him, that's Don Frederick, who writes at the top of the ticket column for the LA Times, based in Washington, D.C. And Linda Breakstone, who has been a star reporter, most recently at KCBS and I think KABC before that, and was political editor along with Mike Qualls at the Herald. And they're going to be joining me in the conversation. And in a few minutes, I'm also going to have a number of other people here speak briefly about some of their memories. And for those of you who want to speak, there's going to be an opportunity for that as well. But first, I want to take a minute to talk about one individual, and that's James G. Bellows, Jim Bellows. Yay. He's sitting right here in the front row. Now, I'm going to let Ron speak in a moment. He wrote a beautiful piece about Jim today, and it touched on some of the innovations, but in reading it, I realized why Jim was different than every other newspaper editor that I'd ever known. Because Jim didn't look at things and say, that's what's there. He would look at things and say, here's what should be there. I mean, I remember being a young journalist and going into news meetings, and I'd be chasing around Frank Lovely, would have me running back and forth to grab copy off the wire and so forth. And I'd come in, and Jim would have this whole morass of news in front of him and making decisions, and he'd go, that one, and they all go, oh, what is that? And it would be some little story about this lady who, something terrible happened to her, and we put it on the front page the next day. That's all anybody wanted to talk about, was that human interest story. And Jim did it all over and over again. On Pat Morrison today, we were talking on her show, and Pat said, well, what was the difference between the Herald and the Times, for instance? And I said, well, there was a story about a woman named Eula Love, a black lady who on her front porch, because of an unpaid electric bill, I think it was, or a utility bill, was shot down by the LAPD and murdered. And I considered it murder. Well, at the LA Times, there was like page 7 of the Metro section, one line. Jim saw it and said, they murdered her for this little bill? What's going on here? And it became front page news in the Herald, not for a day or a week, but for months, until the whole thing unraveled about the LAPD and their abuse of power, about the way that she was treated, about the whole system and how it had broken down. And it all came out of Jim going, yeah, that one, with his amazing instinct for those things, for what was going to turn people on, what was going to excite them, and what was going to make their hearts flutter. And he taught us all a great deal. So first, I want to ask Ron to share a little bit of his memories of Jim.
Thank you, Alex.
Excuse me one minute. In case you don't know, this is Ron Kay, the editor-in-chief of the Los Angeles Daily News, and he's doing a great job over there under very difficult circumstances. So keep it up, Ron.
Thanks, Alex. It seems sort of bizarre for me to be the one who gets to do this, but it's probably undoubtedly the greatest honor of my life. I've worked for every son of a bitch in this news business, from Rupert Murdoch to Gene Pope at the National Enquirer, Lou Bacardi at AP. But I only worked for one genius and one great editor who transcended all of that and was just a great newsman, somebody who saw the invisible, saw what was really at the heart of the story. You know, I mean, the fascination of the news business is it's new, it's business. It's about what's happening now, and it's a